Hi, I'm Kitty, and in this video I'm going to show you the Russian spiral stitch, which is one of my favorites because you can do it with so many different sizes, colors, shapes of beads, getting very different results. I'm going to show you some of these samples right at the end of the video. First, we're going to concentrate on 4mm pearls, 4mm crystals and size 11 seed beads, which we're gonna bind together with needle and thread to form a hollow beadwork. And this beadwork then we can turn into bracelets, necklaces or any piece of jewelry you like. The stitch itself very easy. It's a pattern repeat. Doesn't matter if you put it down, you can pick it up and you will know where you have to go next. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have made these necklaces in so many different colors. There is much more than actually I'm showing you here on the screen, but I made bracelets and I made necklaces as well. And what I love doing with these necklaces, I love using magnetic clasp, and that's what I'm going to be showing to you today in the demo, because you can make a necklace, you can make a bracelet, and if you need a longer necklace, simply you can join up your necklace with your bracelet and you have a much longer necklace if you have to wear it with a special, like a different top as well. So let's get started with the stitch. So as I said to you earlier, we're going to be concentrating on 4mm crystals, a couple of colors of 4mm pearls, size 11 seed beads, and super on size D thread. I'm using size 10 needle, a couple of arm span doubled over. I'm leaving the bobbin on because the nature of the stitch, how we're going to do the bracelet or the necklace, that you can start in the middle, bead one way, then take more thread off your tail and bead the other way. So this just speeds things up because you're going to be less tails to work off and you don't need to join a new thread. So as you can see, I like to use a bead mat or a fleecy material for my table, so it stops my beads rolling away, and I can pretty much just sort of stab at them with my needle and pick them up very easily. I've wrapped the end around my finger, my index finger here. The bobbin is still there, I haven't cut it off, and you need to add the following pattern to start with on your thread. So you're going to pick up 3 size 11 seed beads, you're going to pick up a pearl, 6 size 11 seed beads, another pearl, another 6 size 11 seed beads, and your crystal. And then I'm going to go through all of these beads from my tail end to form my first loop. I got quite a long needle, so I can go through all the way through in one stitch, but if your needle is shorter, then you can just come up and go back in. Now I'm gonna pull this nice and tight, and then I'm gonna go through the first, I'm just following my circle, and I'm gonna go through the first 3 seed beads, so I'm exiting just before that pearl there. And every single time we do a circle, this is what we're gonna end up with. We're gonna see 3 seed beads between 2 beads, then 6 and a 6 seed bead between the 2 beads. So next step, I'm gonna pick up 3 seed beads, and I'm gonna pick up the pearl, which is right in front of my thread, because my thread is exiting just in front of this pearl. So that's how I know which one I have to pick up. And now I picked up 3 seed beads and I picked up a pearl, and I'm gonna miss on this circle, I'm gonna miss what I picked up in reverse. So I'm gonna miss the pearl and the 3 seed beads. So I'm gonna go through the next 3 seed beads just in front of the next pearl and pull this up nice and tight. And this is just gonna sort of sit onto the side there. Once we went around, we're gonna pull it into a circle. And again, I'm gonna repeat, I'm gonna pick up 3 seed beads, I'm going to pick up my second color pearl, which is this lighter one, because that's what's in front of my thread. I'm going to miss what I picked up in reverse and go through the 3 seed beads towards the crystal. and my second loop is just gonna sit there. Now I like to keep it nice and flat at this point, because once we go all the way around, that's when we're gonna be joining the end with the beginning. And what you can run into, that if these are flip-flop around, you might end up going through the wrong beat. So at the moment I just like to keep them nice and flat. Each time I make a loop, I slightly turn my beadwork in my hand. I am working clockwise here and stitching anti-clockwise, but if you're left-handed you might want to do it the other way. I'm picking up 3 more size 11 seed beads, and I'm picking up a crystal this time because that's what's in front of my thread there. I'm gonna miss what I picked up in reverse, and you will see we going through the 3 seed beads just in front of the next pearl that is on the loop what we have picked up. I'm gonna take this all the way down and pull it through, and now I'm gonna make sure my stitching is nice and tight, and I'm gonna repeat it again. 3 seed beads, I'm picking up this darker color pearl because that's what's in front of my thread, missing the pearl, the 3 seed beads, and going through the next 3 seed beads in front of the next pearl, just like that, and pulling this up nice and tight as well. Now once you've done a few rows, it's really gonna pull together, but with everything the first few stitches is always the hardest ones. Picking up 3 more seed beads, and then picking up my lighter pearl because that's what's in front of me, and I'm gonna go through the next 3 seed beads in front of the crystal. I'm gonna give you some top tips later on how you can make it easier, and I'm gonna show you all sorts of different variations right at the end of the video. So there we go, we're done, and I'm gonna turn this sideways. So you have done a couple of stitches now, and our pattern is building, and from here onwards you're gonna do the same thing over and over again. Now a couple of ways you can hold your thread. You can hold it between your index and thumb and just sort of pinch it there, and this is, pull it nice and tight so it doesn't let you to travel the thread backwards and your beadwork become loose. So I'm just gonna keep beading here, picking up 3 seed beads. I'm gonna pick up the crystal, and then I'm gonna go through the 3 seed beads right in front of the next pearl. Pulling this through, and again I'm gonna hold it in the same position, hold it between index finger and thumb, or middle finger and thumb, just to keep a really nice and tight tension, because a tight tension is key with some of the stitches. And I'm repeating the same thing again. I'm picking up 3 seed beads and my darker pearl, I'm missing what I picked up, and going through those 3 seed beads just before the next pearl, just like that, and pulling it tight. Once you have got an inch or so, or a couple of centimeters of beading, it will become really easy because you will have something to hold on to. Picking up 3 seed beads and the lighter pearl, missing again, and I'm just going around and round in circles. There we go, and we got to the crystal. So 3 seed beads and the crystal, and then coming up through the 3 seed beads in front of the next pearl. I'm just going to do a couple more stitches, but you can see that it's forming really nicely. I'm always turning it around so the beadwork is right in front of me, and the stitches, the seed beads, are always on the right hand side. I am right-handed, but if you're left-handed, then you're gonna work the other way. And again, picking up and going through those 3 seed beads and pulling it tight. 3 seed beads. I'm picking up the lighter color pearl because that's what's in front of my thread on my circle, and going through these 3 just before the crystal. So carry on this until you either run out of thread, or you just have like maybe 8 inches of of thread left, so we can add, I can show you how to add the end. I will also show you how to join a thread when we get to it. So carry on adding your crystal, pearl, color 1 and pearl color 2 to your beadwork as you go along, and at the end I'll show you how to attach the clasp, and so that's what we got so far. We do tutorials on all sorts of techniques. The list is endless. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell so we can notify you when we release new material. Also, you can join us in our live tutorials so we can meet you and welcome you into our lovely beady family. And if you have any questions, I can answer them live for you. So as you can see, I only have about 25 centimeters, maybe 10 inches of thread left. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the end on this one. I've done over halfway of my beadwork, so I'm gonna continue, take more thread from the bobbin and continue my beadwork the other way. But this end, I can go and do the end. I'm gonna have to do it turn my beadwork into a point and then attach the loop on the clasp for it. So to attach the clasp on the end, I love using these magnetic clasps. These has got closed loop on them, so we're just gonna go ahead and stitch into them. Now I don't want to add any more larger beads, so no more pearls or crystals. I'm just gonna continue going a couple of rounds just with seed beads. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up 3 seed beads first, just seed beads, not the pearl or not the crystal. I'm gonna miss what I would normally miss. I'm gonna miss the pearl and 3 seed beads and just go through the last 3 seed beads before the pearl. And when I pull this in, you can see this just gonna sit, if I'm showing it to you from above, just gonna sit on the inner side of our last pearl. And I'm gonna repeat this again. So picking up 3 seed beads, gonna miss the pearl, 3 seed beads, and go through the 3 just before the crystal. Pull this up nice and tight, and then I'm going to turn it and repeat again. Pick up 3 seed beads, and I'm going to go through the 3 seed beads. I'm going to miss this one, the crystal. I'm going to miss the 3 seed beads, and I'm going to go through these 3 just before I would have got to the pearl. So you can see the circumference of our circle is getting smaller. Now I'm going to repeat the same just with 2 seed beads. So I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads this time. I'm still going through the 3 seed beads. So I'm going to miss the first 3, go through the second 3. Pull this up nice and tight, then turn it. Picking up another 2, missing 3 underneath again, going through the second 3, just like that, pulling this nice and tight, picking up my last 2, and I'm gonna miss 1, 2, 3 and go through the last, the 2, well this was the first 2 which we added in this round, so I missed 3 and I'm only going through 2. And now if you guessed it, we're gonna do another round. Can you see the smaller again? We're gonna add another round, but this time we're only adding 1 seed bead. So I'm gonna pick up 1 seed bead, I'm gonna miss the 3 here and go through the 2, then picking up another 1 seed bead, I'm missing the 3 here and just going through the next 2, and pick up another final 1 seed bead, and I'm gonna come through that single one I started to add the beginning of this row and pull this up nice and tight. Now without adding any more seed beads, I'm just gonna run through, I'm just gonna do another round just sewing together the seed beads where the 1 single seed beads I added in the last row, and pull this up nice and tight. And now I have created a point to the end of my beadwork and I'm ready to add the clasp. So as I'm coming out of this seed bead, I'm gonna go through the loop on the clasp, and I'm gonna loop back on the seed bead again. So I'm coming out of this side, I'm gonna go through the same seed bead from the other end and pull this through. Then I'm gonna step along one seed bead and go through the loop again. Just pull this to the other side so you can see. Then I'm gonna go through that seed bead again. So I am just sewing the loop on the clasp to each one of those seed beads on the last round, and I'm going through the last one, and I'm gonna sew the clasp to this one as well. Now I do have plenty of room in the holes of the beads, so I always like to make this connection stronger and stronger. So I'm just going to stitch backwards and forwards, going through those seed beads, just going through the loop on the clasp even more. So I would just stitch to the loop, go through a seed bead, and then go back to the loop, go through another seed bead, stitch to the loop again, go through another single seed bead at the end. So I'm going to do this probably about 4 or 5 more times, so I have a lot of security at the end here, and stitching through again. So once you have enough, I only have like a little thread left now, I need to work my thread off. So I'm gonna follow my thread path, spiraling backwards and going down into my seed beads. I'm just gonna keep going around in a spiral motion, following it down as I go. Just any thread paths you have created previously, just keep on going to them until you get back down to where the pearls and the crystals are, just to really reinforce this last little beading at the top. Because if you think about it, the most place where your bracelet or necklace can break, the place where you tug it most is always by the clasp. So I always want to make sure this connection is bulletproof. So I'm just going through some of the pearls, just going a bit more down, and I'm going to do a 1 thread loop, which is, let's just go to one more and I just do it right here. So a 1 thread loop is, I'm gonna catch the thread path, just a thread between the 2 beads just there. So I'm just gonna go right underneath it. I haven't gone through any of the beads, I'm just going right under between the 2 beads where I'm coming out. And you can see this little loop is forming, and before this loop would disappear, because if I would pull this tight, this loop would disappear, I'm gonna go through with my needle just like that, and I'm gonna pull this tight. And as you can see, as I'm pulling it tight, there's a little knot is forming right on the top of the thread path there, securing my working thread. Then I'm gonna go through a few more beads, and then I'm gonna repeat this again. Just go under, through the loop, and pull it tight. Again, I do this like 2 or 3 times just to be really secure. Just one more time. So going under, pulling it through, and just like that, forming a little knot. And then I'm gonna just take it through a few more beads, because you never want to cut your thread off right next to your knot. I'm just gonna pull this tight, and I'm gonna take my scissors. So with one hand, I'm gonna pull the thread away from my beadwork, and with the scissors, as I open them, I'm gonna push the beadwork down towards the table, so I get a nice and tight tension on that thread and snip it. And that's it, one end completely secure. Now do let me know in the comments below that was this as easy as you thought, or was it more difficult as you thought, or how do you think you would be what you would do with this stitch. I can do bracelets, I can do necklaces, we can do all sort of rope-like structures. Now you could add, because it's a hollow tube, as you can see it's hollow inside, you could add something inside to stiffen it, like a rubber tube, memory wire, all sorts of different things. And I'm going to show you in some of the variations where I used some elastic thread to really pull it together and make a really nice bracelet, because as you can see there's natural stretch in the stitch itself. So now I'm going to take a couple of arm span of thread of the other side. I'm going to add my needle to it and continue my thread, continue stitching the other way until I get my desired length. By the way, check out the description of the video for material list, hints, tips and tricks and all sorts of links. You never know what you find there, as I'm constantly updating it with new info. So here is my finished bracelet. I am really pleased with this one because it has a magnetic clasp. It's really easy to take off and to put back on. So it's perfect when I'm in a hurry and I have to put some necklaces or bracelets on. Now, as promised, let me show you all the different variations I have done over the years. So look at this one. Let's call this one version 1. This is using 3mm bugle beads and using delica or treasure beads, probably the easiest one of them all, and you get this really pretty, very delicate sort of spiral going around. Now you can do a one color version just like this, or you can use more than one color and or do all three sides of them in a different colors. But I made so many different ones of these. I really enjoy them. I do love using a shiny finish with a matte finish, because just really shows off the spiral and it really shows off how beautiful is it. Now let's call this one what we done today version 2. This is using the 4mm crystals and the 4mm pearls, again bracelets and necklaces. So this one is a little bit chunkier, I would say about 12mm, and this one is about 6mm in thickness, but the beaded cord what you made with it. Then let's move on to number 3, which this is the one what I really love. So this one is using 3 different sides. Now this one is 9mm bugle beads and you're using size 11 and size 8 seed beads on there. I really do love the look of this one as well, and this one is so versatile because the stitch itself, see how stretchy is that? So what you can actually do is to add an elastic in the middle of your beading and join the end and the beginning together, and then it just becomes a bangle what you can wear. I really do love this version as well. So this is version number 3, and finally I'm going to show you version number 4, which this is using crystals only. This one is 3mm crystals, so they are a little bit smaller than the 4mm crystals and pearls used in the version I showed you in this video. Each version what you make is going to have a slightly different count of seed beads, but the method is exactly the same. And let me just put number 1 in here as well. The method is exactly the same. I love it, and you could experiment with even more. You could put like drops on the side, you could put so many different things with it. I love how easy is the stitch and how versatile how many different things you can do with it. Now often when I design something, and I'm just going to give you a top tip here, because you're using all sorts of different colors and different seed beads, I do make things like this. With the magnetic is sticking to my bracelet. So I do make just little snippets. I do make little, maybe a couple of inches of a color and the 3 different crystals put together there, just to try out. And if I'm happy with the color, then I will continue, and if not, then I'm going to put it to the side, because things like this are really helpful for future projects as well when you are trying to choose your colors. And then another way how I like to choose my colors, and I'm just going to grab another 3 colors, 2 pearls and a crystal out of my box here. I take my index finger and I wrap the pearls and crystals around them in just a spiral, just wrap it around to see how the colors fit together, because if you look at your bracelet, that is what you're gonna get once you finish the beading, and obviously there's gonna be seed beads between, but this is a very good way to start your beadwork off, to check your pearls, check your crystals, if they indeed fit together. Now you can do all sorts of different versions. You can just use pearls, you can just use crystals, anything you really fancy. If you have liked today's video, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so we can notify you next time when we upload a new tutorial. See you soon! Check out the other videos on this playlist to learn more techniques just like this.